Hi, my name is Evan Washington. I'm the CEO of Razor Technologies. So just want to talk to you about Razor Technologies. We're working hard to create an operating system for the personal grooming industry, which includes barbershops, nail salons, and hair salons. Our software is going to be designed to help boost retention, which is going to have a direct impact on revenue, as well as provide the ability to accept payments in store and online. And the last thing is that we're going to provide consulting services to help these businesses scale. So I want to talk about, what the problem is. Um, let's just take Charlotte as an example. There's 100 plus people moving to the city every single day. At some point, they're gonna Google a barbershop. Let's just say they live in the Still Creek area, and they find the highest rated barbershop in the area, which is my barbershop that I own called No Grease Premium. That's a shameless plug, right? They find a website, they book an appointment online, uh, based on the availability that they need to come in. They get a haircut, but they get a bad experience. They never come back. Right? That's a lost customer consultation process. And what I learned as a owner of a barbershop is that you can have two barbers that with 10 years of experience with vastly different skill sets, right? The second problem is that I talk to so many, business owners. I mean, business owners as well as independent contractors that, do nails, that do hair, that are barbers, right? That they They went to school to learn their skill, but they didn't necessarily learn business and financial education, right? So they don't have the ability to help their business scale, right? That's the other problem. And through my custom discovery, what I learned in talking to a lot of small business owners is that on top of their operation system that they're using to manage their business, they're using about four applications on top of their operation system, right? So they're using so many different applications to manage their business. So let's just talk about the solution. We want to correct the consultation process, especially when we don't have the opportunity to talk to the customer. So we're going to create an interface and a matching algorithm and a short questionnaire to give the customer the best experience to get the service provider that is going to best meet their needs and also give the business a higher probability of retaining the customer. The other thing that we're going to do is that we're going to provide consulting services to these businesses. So we just don't want to sell a software subscription. We want to be invested in the business success. Helping them from everything from how to sell retail, to how to recruit barbers and nail techs, to how to move from a outdated booth rent model to commission. And then the last thing is that we're going to create an operating system where we're going to take the core of the system, which includes point of sales, appointment management, inventory management, payroll, marketing, and analytics, and wrap it into one system, which will save them time and add more efficiency. All right, that's just a mock-up screenshot of the software. I could certainly send this to anyone that's interested in seeing the process. But let's just talk about the market size. So, uh, at first our market size was really large, right? Where we're going to come at the entire it includes nail salons, hair salons, and barbershops. And so the market represents, billions, and I believe that we have a great opportunity to penetrate the market just based on everything that we're providing. We've done tremendous research around the industry in terms of being able to kind of pick off some of these businesses. All right, so let's just talk about how the business is going to make money. We have, traditional monthly subscription that will charge shops. We'll also have a strategic partnership already in place with a company called Phoenix. So if you heard of Stripe, we're going to use Phoenix, and then we're going to take a percentage. Booking fees are going to be part of our largest revenue stream, to where when a customer books an appointment, we'll earn a $3 fee. Um, and then point of sales. So every time a card is swiped, we'll be able to make money off that transaction. In phase two, we'll launch our consulting practice. We're going to provide business loans. All of the point of sale providers out there provide business loans now, but they're predatory. Most businesses can't survive on a 20% payback, where they're only running on 80% of their business, where they have to kind of pay that loan back. It's high fees. And then we have a partnership with a beauty supply store where they can procure products for general use, as well as being able to kind of sell for wholesale. So in terms of our competitive advantage, right here, some of our competitors are Noti, Booksy, provide point of sales today, but what makes us different is the consultant, the AI, the business loans, video contact center support, etc. Our go-to-market strategies that be led by a sales team with additional trade shows, website leads, etc. We expect to be about at $17.3 million with about 570 active users by year 3. We already set the sales goals for the organization. We already have traction. No Grease Barbershop, as well as the Lucky Spot Barbershop, have already committed. And this is our super team, led by myself, and I'm happy to answer any questions from the panel.
Okay. Edmund. So a few questions. I know a lot of bit about this. Actually, I've invested in quite a few businesses in this space. First and foremost, so you've got phase 1 and phase 2. But we're going to stick with you're currently in phase 1.
Are you referring to the business model?
Yeah. Can you flip back to that slide where you have the 2 phases? Phase 2, where I'm assuming you have that big jump in revenue. Phase 2, when you're going into loans. Are you currently in phase 1 in the subscription model?
So right now we're at the idea stage, right? So we haven't built out the MVP yet, but this is, phase 1, includes the monthly subscriptions, the booking fees, as well as point of sales.
Okay, so I'm gonna drag you a little bit backwards.
Yeah.
You started off talking about the problem and the customer with the bad experience.
Yes.
And the bad experience means a lost customer.
Yes.
How does this keep me, the customer who had the bad experience, from walking out your door and never coming back?
Yeah, so this going back into what we're going to change around the booking flow, right? So what's different now is when you go to most sites, right? You book an appointment, you select the professional, the time, you add a card. Sometimes you don't add a card. What's missing is the consultation, right? So in the booking flow, we're going to include a short questionnaire, giving the person the ability to, add pictures, because people come in with their phones all the time in our shops and say, hey, can you do this type of cut? And then me as a owner of a barbershop, I know who can cut certain hair, who doesn't, right? Okay. So if you would come to me and say, hey, my son needs this type of cut, and you say, who should I go to? Me, I know that. So in the back end, once we set up these barbers in the system, it would be a rating system, along with the questionnaire that they will. So when customers go onto the site, the best barber would be selected for them.
Okay, so I think I misunderstood a lot of what you pitched them. So it sounds like your software is honing in on the skill set of the practitioner versus the functionality of the business.
Well, that's one aspect of it.
So
Right.
That's exactly what I'm going to.
Right.
You just pitched me everything under the sun in the beauty industry, and that's where my brain started swimming. I don't know what problem number 1 is, and I think all of those things are an issue, but I didn't have a clear step 1. You pitched me a problem. I've had that problem before I go in. I have a bad experience, and I'm kind of like, was I unclear or were they crappy?
Right.
And then it's problem number 2. I've funded salons where they just had a bad business model and they can't keep. I liked a stylist, and then I go back and they're not there.
Right.
And it's because too much money for the booth rent, or too much commission was coming out, or their business model was upside. All of those things, right?
Right.
I've even driven up and the whole salon was gone. Right.
Right.
That's happened.
Right.
So, yeah, it happens a lot. So that's where I think for me, changing up this slide in particular and really understanding, breaking down that problem slide, because it took you even a little while to get through all the problems and then all the solutions of this is problem number 1 that we're going to come in and solve. So you might not have 2 phases, you might have 7 phases or 10 phases, because it was I want to solve this, and I want to start with the customer experience, and then I want to come in and modify the business model, business operations. But I think you need to start with what you feel like core problem number one is, especially if you're going to build out software. I don't build out software, but it gets really expensive if you're going to solve everything under the sun. And from an investment perspective, I feel like every time a company comes to me, it's $250,000 per problem. So I'm seeing
Yeah.
$3 million already in phase one.
No, I appreciate that that feedback.
Uh, Thank you. It's very interesting. I'm going to probably be a little overly technical here, but
Mhm.
I think hopefully you'll can appreciate it.
Yeah.
The first thing first of all, I love this space. Just the kind of specialized, back office or operating system, kind of boutique niche ERP thing.
Yep.
There are very successful entrepreneurs in this community who have done that. There's one in the brewery space. There's one, of course, you got Chris with Pazer doing HVAC,
Yep.
back office stuff, and other trades. You've got somebody who's done a fitness, back office, and so there's several of them. So I like the space. If you're going to attack this primarily from a software perspective, which I would recommend you do it, you need. I know you're early in your ideas, and that's fine.
Mhm.
You should be talking a little bit more about and not just from your business experience, but also from your technical experience. Why do you have a team that's uniquely qualified to deliver what is arguably probably the most important piece of software to one of these businesses, right? Which is
Right.
to operate their business. So I'd like to see more on that to help you build some credibility because again, I think the space is fantastic.
Okay.
I'm gonna say this. I I get very uncomfortable when I hear you talk about consulting because I've been a consultant my whole life and it sucks. So I'm speaking from experience. And more importantly, as an investor, the revenue that you get and the multiple you get and the value for the return on investor for a dollar of consulting is a tenth of what it is for a dollar of subscription revenue. So as investors, we don't like to see professional services generally. Now, you can package it somehow as an onboarding fee or a setup fee. You can treat it differently. And if you have a ton of intellectual property, which I suspect you do because you're a great operator, turn it into an AI coach. Turn it into something that is software based where people can ask the questions of the machine and let the machine return the response and charge additional fees for that. Like the idea of running around consulting in these shops feels like a distraction to someone who has a very important job of building a unique and differentiated software product. So I'd be very careful there. And secondarily, I could understand the notion of a marketplace of loans, but to your point, because I'm on my 154th barbershop in my life, that doesn't feel like I want to give them a loan, right? And I think that imbues risk on your concept and your idea that will be highly scrutinized from investors, especially at the early stage. So I think you can mention phase two and you can talk about other ways to generate revenues and monetize, but the investor in this pitch, and I think there'd be a lot of people excited about a space, especially if there's not a lot of competition yet in this kind of boutique space. Be a lot of people excited about it, but they're going to be very narrowly excited about the software opportunity specifically. So that was a lot for me. I apologize. Tell me a little bit about why you and your team is unique at attacking the software side of this.
Yeah, so I appreciate that, and I accept all the feedback. But so I think the first thing, right? I think one of the things that makes us qualify is that we run a successful business right now. Our business collectively, No Grease Barbershop. We're gonna probably hit about almost $10 million in revenue, and we have really strong profit margins. And so I think one of the things that people come to me all the time is that I have a consulting business. I do it now, and I've generated over $30,000 in revenue last year, talking to barbershops across the world. I actually got two meetings with two barbershops in Canada today, right? And this problem comes up all the time. I think to what you said, Dr. Williams, is talking to so many entrepreneurs that just has a bad business model. So I'm not going to change from that. I'm going to hone down on that because I do feel like our customers kind of need that. But the core of the product is the software, right? I think we're not changing from that, right? In terms of providing that operation system. And a lot of the things that people need, they need to be able to swipe, take payments inside the store. They need to be able to manage inventory. They need to be able to manage commissions or booth rent depending on the model. That's the core of the software. And when I say in phase two, every point of sale company does loans today, right? Toast for restaurants, right, does loans, right? Squire for barbershop does loans, right? But they're predatory. So we're saying that we're going to get in the same market, but we're just not going to do it in the same way. We want to do lending in the most responsible way. And certainly we have to manage risk, right? Because we know that a lot of these businesses, haven't probably even filed taxes, right? They don't have financial statements, right? So certainly we're not going to lend to uh, businesses, right, that that are not qualified. I think the goal is to get them there, right? And this is where some of the consulting kind of comes in. And that's what really makes us different. Because if I take if I take phase two away, I'm just like everybody else that's in the market, aside from the problem I was trying to solve around the consultation.
Yeah. So, um, just a caveat, and I won't beat you over the head with the consulting. The difference in switching what you did last year into something that's a little more automated with AI is $30,000 a year and $30,000 a week.
Yeah.
And I did that in one of my entrepreneur coaching practices, and it's literally you get the same questions, especially from certain segments of business,
Yeah.
because they're asking you the same question repeatedly. So the second you free up your time, you go from billing at $250 an hour or $1,000 a session, or $5,000 a session, to literally they're paying $100, or you're instead of charging $125 for a month, it's $250 a month, and
Right.
you just doubled your revenue. So all of a sudden you're doing exactly the same thing, but your weekly rate that you're collecting is instantly more, and you're still consulting. And do you know why those loans are predatory? Because I actually make
Only a fraction of them ever get paid back.
I was like,
Okay.
because I actually make small business loans,
Okay.
and the term predatory means something very different to me now.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, loans come on margin, and unless you are personally bankrolling, and I personally bankroll the loans we make into businesses,
Right.
which means my money is coming at my rate, which is 0%. So I can set it at any rate I want.
Right.
But the second you have to get capital from an investor or somebody else that is going to ask for their money back at some margin of return, you have to lend it out, and you've got to make a margin, which means those rates go up. So 8 to 11%. Do you know what prime is right now?
I thought it was around 7.
So you're going to make 1% on your loan.
Okay.
At best, which means you're going to be in a negative business. That's why that's not necessarily a good business model immediately. Even if you were making $50 million, the financial mechanics mean even if that was an outstanding business, every business will take your loan. But even if 100% of them paid you back, you're going to be in the hole immediately.
Okay.
And running loans, paying back loans, financing loans, chasing people for money is a very expensive business. If anybody read the news in the last 2 years, I was very proud of myself and patted myself on the back and lost I won't curse because it's early, a lot of money doing that business.
Okay.
So that being said, it's not that it's a bad business, but you want to think about your model and what supports businesses. And no amount of consulting will help a bad business model pay back a low interest loan, because math is math. But one other question.
Yeah.
Have you market tested your monthly subscription rate other than the shop you're in? Because I know, like, I use Style Seat with my salon right now. I don't know what that costs to her, but $125 instinctively feels a little bit low to me for everything that you're providing. So kind of have you market tested it?
That's for individual contractors that work inside of shops or in a booth model.
Like a single person?
Yeah, like a single person.
Someone in a sponsored booth or in a paid
Yeah,
booth. So
exactly.
One
10
person.
of them, it would be times 10
Ex-
at that.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Right. Right.
Okay.
That's better clarification.
Yeah.
And then shop plan means what?
Yeah. So myself, owners that want to standardize on one particular platform, That's the shop plan. That's $250 plus $50 for every location added to the platform.
Okay, so I would suggest then mapping that out a little bit differently, because the way it reads is $125 a month or 200. Like, it just, the math, like I did the quick math in my head and I just went, there's no way in the world he's gonna make any money on that. But
Yeah.
when you just said it to me, I was like, oh, so it's per user or per
user.
Whomever, or per barber, or plus da 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 da. So
Yes.
that just helps me understand, really how you get to those larger numbers in the later years. So if you could tweak that a little bit, because I think that
Well,
helps a lot.
Well, and I appreciate the information on the loans too.
about that.
Yeah.
And with that, we're at time. Let's give it up for Edmund and Ray.